Yes, at first glance, the Insta360 Go Ultra and the DJI Pocket 3 are very different cameras. And both cameras have their own particular strengths when compared directly. But these two cameras also have a few things in common. The manufacturers advertise their exceptional portability, so a practical, handy form factor. And both are very high quality devices that are well suited for vlogging or for vacation and family videos. And that's probably why some of you have asked for a direct comparison. So today we're going to take a look at which is the best pocket camera. I'll show you how the footage compares in a direct comparison. And at the end of the video, I'll tell you who should buy the Pocket 3 and who should buy the Go Ultra. To find out, we need to look at a total of 8 categories. The first category is very important, namely the form factor, design and durability of the two devices. This is certainly one of the biggest differences between these two cameras. The very different designs are a decisive factor when choosing between these two cameras. Even though the Pocket 3 is called a pocket camera, it's not really small. In direct comparison, it's considerably larger than the Go Ultra. As you may know, the Go Ultra basically consists of two parts: the camera itself and the action pod. The action pod can be used to charge the camera. You can use the Go Ultra in the action pod like a conventional action camera, or you can also use the action pod as a remote when you have mounted the camera somewhere. And even when the Go Ultra is in the action pod, it's significantly smaller than the Pocket 3, which is only suitable for putting in your pocket to a very limited extent. But of course, it's not just the size. Especially without the action pod, the Go Ultra is a very robust camera. The lens cover can be easily replaced, and this camera can survive a fall without any problems. The magnetic bag also allows for very flexible mounting of the camera, and the Go Ultra is waterproof up to 10 meters. It's actually a perfect action camera. While the Go Ultra relies exclusively on electronic image stabilization, the Pocket 3 has an integrated gimbal. This has a few advantages. Especially in low light, a gimbal allows for better image stabilization. On the other hand, it also makes the camera very sensitive. Of course, the Pocket 3 cannot be used in water. It should also be used with caution on the beach, as it should not be dropped in the sand. I'm telling you all this to make one thing clear. While the Go Ultra can also be used as an action camera, this is not the case with the Pocket 3. The Pocket 3 is not particularly well suited for action. It's relatively sensitive and can only be attached with difficulty. This means that if you are looking for a camera that you can also use for sports or action-packed scenes, you should go for the Go Ultra. And one more thing on this topic. The Pocket 3 can be turned on and off by flipping the display up and down. This is a cool feature and works great. But the display is not exactly robust either. The flip-up display on the Go Ultra is not only significantly more robust, it's also significantly larger, and I would even say brighter and sharper. DJI definitely needs to improve on this for a possible successor to the Pocket 3. In summary, while the Go Ultra can also be used perfectly well as an action camera, the Pocket 3 is a relatively fragile device. You should definitely take this into account when making your choice. But let's take a look at a number of comparison shots. Because in addition to the very different designs, image quality is the second important distinguishing feature between these two cameras. And even in these first comparison shots, you can clearly see a really important difference. As with all other action cameras, the focus on the Go Ultra is fixed at infinity. This means that everything is more or less equally sharp. This includes both the subject and the background. This is also possible because the lens has such a wide focal length. In contrast, the Pocket 3 uses autofocus. This means it can focus on subjects in the foreground, blurring the background. Of course, this looks very cinematic and cool. The blurred background in particular gives the shots a very high quality look. With the Pocket 3, you can also focus on very close objects and create cinematic B-roll shots with beautiful background blur. This is not possible with the Go Ultra or other action cameras. This difference no longer matters when you focus on a distant subject with the Pocket 3. For example, when taking a landscape shot as shown here. When focusing on close subjects with the Pocket 3, you also have to make sure that the right subject is in focus. For example, when vlogging. This usually works well, also because the Pocket 3 has a tracking function. But what I've noticed is that the Pocket 3's shots look significantly shakier when vlogging, as you can see here. and this despite the gimbal. But I'll show you a more detailed stabilization comparison a little later. Besides the focus, the next really important difference is that the Go Ultra's field of view is significantly wider. All comparison shots were taken from the same distance. I also used a selfie stick for this. And personally, I think that the Pocket 3's field of view is a little too narrow for vlogging, for example. As I said, the cameras are mounted on an additional selfie stick, which is a bit awkward when using the Pocket 3. Due to its form factor and gimbal, it's not particularly well suited for use on a selfie stick. But if you simply hold the Pocket 3 in your hand, this is what it looks like. And for vlogging, that's relatively close. Yes, there is another additional lens for the Pocket 3, but this causes strong distortion. And of course, you also lose some of the cinematic background blur, which is the Pocket 3's particular strength. The colors of the two shots are not that different. However, the Go Ultra shots have slightly more saturation. They also have slightly more contrast. If you want to edit the colors of your shots extensively, the Pocket 3 is better suited because with D-Log M, it features a 10-bit log profile that is well suited for color grading. The Go Ultra, on the other hand, does not have a log profile, but a range of preset color filters for very specific situations. Only the Go Ultra has also an HDR mode for situations with particularly difficult lighting conditions. So when there are very bright and very dark areas in the same shot. In these situations, the Go Ultra does a slightly better job of protecting the highlights. I've noticed that the Pocket 3 sometimes overexposes a bit, especially in backlit situations, probably because the exposure is based on the face. For example, the result here looks very strange. On the other hand, I usually really like the colors of the Pocket 3 in direct light. Both cameras can also shoot in 4K at 60 frames per second. However, 60 FPS on the Go Ultra results in a crop. For this reason, the difference in field of view is no longer as great. It is very difficult to compare details of cameras with such different focal lengths. By the way, you can further reduce the digital sharpness on both cameras. And both cameras also have a 2x zoom, which doesn't just crop the image, but allows for a slightly higher quality digital zoom. I've already mentioned vlogging a few times today, and in our social media world, it's obviously also important that the camera can record not only horizontal videos, but also vertical ones in portrait mode. With the Go Ultra, this is very easy. You simply turn the camera to the side and it switches to portrait mode. I'm also addressing this topic because for me, it's one of the major weaknesses of the Pocket 3. The Pocket 3 also has a portrait mode. To use it, you simply flip up the screen. However, the portrait mode only consists of a vertical crop. This means that the lens itself does not rotate. The image is simply cropped vertically. This in turn leads to a greatly reduced field of view and a reduced resolution. Therefore, 4K recordings are not possible in portrait mode. To get around this, you can of course hold the camera sideways, but this is a bit awkward and the camera is not designed for this. DJI should definitely improve this in the next version. On the other hand, when it comes to slow motion shots, only the Pocket 3 can shoot in 4K at 120 frames per second. With the Go Ultra, you have to reduce the resolution to 2.7K for this. Here you can see a direct comparison of a slow motion shot. As you may know, the Pocket 3 has a 1-inch sensor, while the Go Ultra sensor is smaller at 1/1.28 inches, but still quite large for such a small camera. Sensor size plays an important role, especially in low light conditions. So let's take a look at how well the two cameras perform in low light. For its size, the Go Ultra takes incredibly good shots in low light, but of course it can't quite keep up with the Pocket 3 in this regard. The Pocket 3 has two decisive advantages in low light. It has a larger sensor and the gimbal allows for a reduction in shutter speeds without affecting the stabilization. The Pocket 3's shots not only look sharper, they are also better stabilized. Nevertheless, the Go Ultra doesn't leave a bad impression in low light either, but if low light is very important to you, then the Pocket 3 is the better choice. While the gimbal is a big advantage in low light, the results in good lighting conditions are not so clear-cut. As we have already established today, the Pocket 3 is not an action camera. It is therefore not designed to compensate for extremely strong vibrations. But especially when you are tracking a subject, the stabilization of the Pocket 3 quickly reaches its limits, as you can see here in this test. If we now look at the stabilization comparison without a subject, it's noticeable that the Pocket 3 has major problems with vibrations, although this could also be a rolling shutter problem. However, it can compensate for very strong movements well, even better than the Go Ultra. But as I said, you should not and will not use the Pocket 3 in this way under normal circumstances. Now we've seen how the recordings from the two cameras compare directly, but especially with the Small Go Ultra, the question arises as to how long these cameras can shoot for and whether there are any problems with overheating. If you shoot in 4K 30 with the Go Ultra without the action pod, it will shoot for 46 minutes. After that, you can put it in the action pod, and in combination with the action pod, the recording time is 2 hours and 20 minutes. The DJI Pocket 3 can also shoot for a very long time in 4K 30, for about 2 hours and 5 minutes. Here in the office at 24 degrees Celsius, neither camera had any problems with overheating in 4K 30, including the Small Go Ultra. Since both cameras can be a great option for vlogging, the audio quality is also very important. As you can hear, the Go Ultra's microphone is significantly better, especially with the right settings. It can block out background noise better than the Pocket 3. Microphones can also be connected via Bluetooth to both cameras. For example, the Mic Mini or the Mic 2. The Mic 3 is now also compatible with the Pocket 3, while the Mic Air from Insta360 will be compatible with the Go Ultra soon. Before we look at the prices and I tell you which camera I would recommend, you should know a few special features of the Pocket 3 and the Go Ultra. The Pocket 3's gimbal allows you to mount the camera on a tripod and have it follow you. This doesn't work completely all around, meaning the gimbal has limited range of motion, but the feature can be very useful, especially for solo creators. Of course, the Pocket 3 also has different gimbal modes and special tracking features. Both require a bit of learning time. If you want to know more, you can find a detailed tutorial on the Pocket 3 on my channel. On the other hand, the Go Ultra comes with a whole range of special features. For example, it supports gesture control and voice control, has its own toddler mode for close-ups of toddlers, a free-frame mode where you can determine the field of view in post, and an endurance mode for extended battery life. And unlike the Pocket 3, the Go Ultra can take high-resolution photos with 50 megapixels. The photos taken with the Pocket 3 only have 9 megapixels. But for me, the coolest thing about the Go Ultra is the combination of the camera and the action pod and the easy option of using the action pod as a remote. You can also find a very detailed tutorial on the Go Ultra on my channel. So how much do these two cameras cost and which one should you buy? When it comes to the Pocket 3, the question of price is not so simple. Here in Europe it costs 550 euros, while in the US it costs significantly more, $800, which in my opinion is far too much. The Go Ultra on the other hand costs $450, and there is still a special offer available. If you use the link in the description, you'll receive an exclusive, fast 256GB SD card as a free gift. So which camera would I recommend to whom? For me, the answer is relatively simple. If you're looking for an easy-to-use camera that's handy and very flexible, even for the family or sports, then go for the Go Ultra. The image quality is very good and it's a great camera. However, if you want to take more professional shots, perhaps you're an aspiring filmmaker or looking for a camera for cinematic shots for your channel, then go for the Pocket 3, at least if you can get it at a reasonable price. For me, the Go Ultra is more of a consumer camera, while the Pocket 3 is more of a professional tool. As I said, for more information, check out my detailed tutorials on both cameras. There will of course be more videos on the Go Ultra and the Pocket 3. And don't forget to give me a like as feedback if you found this video interesting. Stay tuned and see you next time.